system, and 5G is committed to provide all those things. Autonomous car, virtual reality, industrial internet, and smart cities are future technologies that will depend solely on 5G communication. Antenna designers face challenges to design antennas for wider bandwidth, beam steering, beam forming, wider and multiple beams. These are the, from antenna point of view, as in this communications 5G communication system, this antenna will play very very important role, and these different challenges the antenna designer are facing are the design a wider bandwidth antenna, beam steering or beam forming, and simultaneously multiple beams to handle by antenna. That are the different challenges, and size is also a very big challenge. Now, uh, now if I go to the difference between 4G and 5G communication, uh, 5G is the unified platform which has more features than 4G. You know that IMT 2012 advance, uh, uh, that is the standards given by Mobile Telecommunication Institute for 4G. And in 2020, IMT came up with another specification for 5G. And 5G and 4G, the difference in in all the parameters, 5G will be much more advanced. 5G requires spectrum better than 4G. 5G will be faster than 4G. That means latency should be very very small. 5G has more capacity as compared to 4G, and 5G has lower latency than 4G. Now, user scenarios of IMT 2020 and beyond. IMT 2020 is for the 5G communication, the demand enhanced mobile broadband, the demand for improved performance and seamless user experience and new application areas could be fulfilled by the enhanced mobile broadband. Ultra reliable and low latency communication. The throughput, latency, and availability are strict requirements for today and for the future. For to हाँ मैंने सर हेलो हाँ नहीं चल रहा है भाई मैं तो इधर से दे रहा हूँ अच्छा देखता हूँ मैंने अच्छा अच्छा जस्ट वन सेकेंड अच्छा हेलो, हाँ बोलो. हाँ हाँ, टेल मी why it is not going. हाँ 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 हाँ. हाँ, एरो. हाँ हाँ, वही तो कर रहा हूँ मैंने. अच्छा अच्छा, मैं विंडो वाला किया था. हाँ हाँ हाँ. अच्छा, इसको शेयर कर देता हूँ. ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम. हाँ ठीक है, देन तो ओके. नाउ इट इज ओके ना. ओके. सो can I should I start from the very beginning?
So you can continue where you stopped.
Okay, okay.
Yes, sir.
So I can go to the next. The key capabilities of the IMT 2020 is. हेलो. अच्छा, तो वही कर रहा हूँ मैंने. ओके. The key capabilities of IMT 2020 is basically the main features of the 5G communication system. The peak data rate, ideal condition per user per device will be in terms of gigabit per second. And user experience data rate should be megabit per second or gigabit per second. Latency must be in the milliseconds. Mobility kilometer per hour, connection density per kilometer square, energy efficiency on network side and device side should be highly energy efficient, spectrum efficiency, and area traffic capacity. These are the key features of the our 5G communication systems. The you see the peak. If you look into the 5G system, our main features, the services will that will be added to it with the mobile broadbands, smart transport, real-time virtual reality, Internet of Things, and massive machine communications. And that if you look, the latency will become 1 millisecond, and 10 gigabit per second will be peak data rate. And when more devices will be added with it. The primary challenges that any next generation solution will need is deal with gigabit per second data rate to end user. And network latency rates below 1 milliseconds. Dramatic growth in number of connected device is also the main challenges of the 5G. When so many devices are added, we have to maintain this standard. Now, if we look into 4G and 5G communication, 4G is basically IMT advanced, which was specified in the year 2012, and these 5G specifications came in 2020 specifically. Now, if you look into it, in all parameters, 5G is uh, much better than the 4G communications. If you look into the energy efficiency, 10 times more energy efficient system will be 5G communication. Connection density will be increased by 10 times. Similarly, latency is also will be previously it was 10 milliseconds. Now it has been come to less than 1 millisecond. Similarly, mobility also improved. Spectrum efficiency will be 3 times more efficient. Spectrum efficient system will be 5G, like that. Now, 5G frequency band, And according to 3G, GPP, that means third generation partnership project, which released 15th, their 15th release, they specified two frequency ranges are to be used for fulfilling the requirement of 5G. The first frequency range is 410 megahertz to 7.125 gigahertz, preferably 3 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. And frequency range 2 is 24.25 to 52.6 gigahertz. Now, if we see the frequency bands allocated to different countries are as follows. For India, you see that we have been given the 3.6 to 4.1, 3.3 to 3.6 gigahertz, and another band we have got, so 24.25 to 27.5 gigahertz and 27.5 to 29.5 gigahertz. So for India, these are the allocated band. Now, what are the different services will be catered by 5G? The ultra high definition video streaming, augmented and virtual reality, remote healthcare, cloud computing, broadcast services, education, safety and life services, and tactile internet. And the applications, 5G applications will be in the smart grid, smart homes, wireless sensor network, surveillance system, remote monitoring and control, smart cities, smart transports, and agriculture. Now, I am now I am coming main topic of this talk on the microstrip antenna design approach. The demand for high bandwidth, we have already discussed previously that the antenna requirement in the 5G should be very high bandwidth antenna is required. The transmission power should be high, and we want that simultaneously large number of signals to be transmitted and received, and that for that only MIMO system can meet this demand. And to design a MIMO antenna, multi-path environment and high channel capacity, you have to consider the design of antennas to transmit and receive more than one signal simultaneously is a challenging term. And as that means we have to use a number of antennas which will transmit simultaneously different signals. When we design this number of antennas, so we have to consider the mutual coupling between these antennas to be very, very low, so that there will be no interference between the different signals. So mutual coupling between the antenna's elements and the size of the antenna, which can ultimately affect the system performance. In recent years, decoupling techniques for MIMO antennas is used to improve the isolation between the antenna elements. There are different decoupling techniques. There are different methods that researcher has proposed for reducing the decoupling or the coupling between different antennas, and also I'll talk in the future slides about the ECC and diversity gain, etc. The mutual coupling is affected by closeness of the electromagnetic radiation radiated by antenna elements. Transmitting and receiving more than one signal simultaneously also affects the channel capacity and diversity gain of the MIMO system, which can be overcome with reduce the correlation between the antenna elements. So for MIMO design, the correlation and the diversity gain is the very important parameter which are to be considered for MIMO antenna design. To diminish mutual coupling in a conventional way, the distance between two antennas has to be more than quarter wavelength, which enlarges the size of the total antenna. So here in the 5G antenna design system, we cannot use very large antenna. We because space is also a constant. So we have to make our antenna small, but at the same time, we have to reduce the mutual coupling. In recent years, many decoupling technology has been used to minimizing the mutual coupling and increase the isolation, such as hybrid electronic band gap, split ring electronic band gap, LSSR, split ring resonator, BSF structure, and metamaterial uh, uh, split ring resonator. But in this technology, researchers are used this technology in between elements where it can reduce the surface current coming from one element to the another, but increases the overall size of the antenna. So main problem is here, by using all these decoupling techniques, we are reducing the current, surface current, from going from one antenna to other antenna, so that it will be decoupled more or less. But at the same time, what the problem we are facing, that the size is increases. The analysis of circularly polarized MIMO antenna over linearly polarized MIMO antenna is discussed in the references also. So uh, the single input, single output antenna, the CISO antenna, and if we compare with the MIMO antenna, multiple input and multiple output antenna. It is single input, single output antenna is easy to design and implement. And the CISO system used single antenna element as a transmitter or a receiving signal. To achieve a high gain, large antenna is required. CISO antenna can be multi-element antenna for 5G applications. Multi-element antenna is mainly used to enhance the gain of the antenna at the cost of increased size and design complexity. Whereas in the MIMO antenna, wireless communication suffers interface, multipath fading, and radiation losses, and these problems are enhanced when frequency increases. Therefore, MIMO antenna play important role and increases the transmission range without changes the transmission power. So this is very important parameter for which we prefer MIMO antenna in 5G antenna system, used in 5G to achieve maximum throughput and low latency with large efficiency. What are the different types of 5G antenna? People have already tried, are doing research on it. They are monopole antenna, simple design for CISO, and MIMO antenna, but less gain. Dipole antenna also people have tried, which is simple to design but low gain and bandwidth. Loop antenna, easy to design, again low gain. Fractal antenna, wider bandwidth but complex design. Inverted F antenna, small size but less gain. Planar inverted F antenna, which low gain and bandwidth. Now, popular decoupling techniques used for high isolation in MIMO antenna are defected ground plane, where in the planar antenna system, in the ground plane, we make some slots or something like that, which are basically the defected ground plane, and mostly used in different types of stubs, open-ended, slot, and ground in the ground to diminish the surface current. Electromagnetic band gap, it can be used in the ground as well as on the top plane of the radiator to overcome surface current between the ports. What we do here, in a planar structure, on the antenna, microstrip antenna, say, on the antenna part also we can have some different types of slots, etc., so that the surface current path will increase. And when surface current path will increase, it will increase your bandwidth and other thing. Complementary split ring resonator is another, or metamaterial is also used for reducing the decoupling, is one of the decoupling techniques on MIMO antenna. Now, I'll talk about some of the antennas which have already proposed by different researchers and which has some prospect for the future FG communication. Now, in the first antenna, which we consider here, the first, it was published in the year 2020. It is a novel dual branch multi-band compact slotted antenna with multi-band characteristics. If you see the bands, it has 3-4 bands here, which is given in the third column. It has 750 to 790 megahertz. It is used for digital broadcasting. 1.41 to 1.45 gigahertz for wireless medical technology. 2.1 to 2.14 gigahertz for universal mobile telecommunication. 3.44 to 3.51 gigahertz for WiMAX. Then 3.8 to 3.87 for fixed satellite communication, or sub 6 gigahertz 5G communication, and 5.17 to 5.20 wireless local area networking. It can be used. Now, by introducing the slots on the patch in the form of U slots and E-shaped slots having varied branch lengths and full ground plane, the antenna has overall size will become 30 by 30 by 1.6 mm cube. It achieves compact operation and omni-radiation pattern with gain of 1.1 dBi, and efficiency of this antenna is around 78%. Similarly, the second antenna, again to some extent same type, only here also we have used some slotted antenna, offset feed radiating structure, and it is also multi-band operation we will get, and in the band of 1.57, 2.90, 3.82, 4.5 and 5 gigahertz. Now, for this antenna, it is omnidirectional pattern you will get, and also you can get bidirectional radiation pattern also. Application, various wireless application, it can be used. The third also came in 2020. It is also slotted conical patch. If you look into the antenna it is a conical shaped antenna with slots on it. The slotted conical patch connected to a small triangular patch. And it is also a multi-band antenna. These bandwidths are already specified here. The bandwidth are 2.45 to 2.495 gigahertz, 5 to 6.3 gigahertz, 23 to 28 gigahertz, etc. It shows multi-band, large bandwidth. It can be used for WLAN and 5G wireless communication devices. The third and fourth antenna, this paper came in 2017. It is basically Koch and Sierpinski combined fractal antenna. And if you see these antenna, it is the ground plane of this antenna is not full ground plane. It is to some extent monopole type of antenna. And here the gain we get more than 1.96, and this application, it is also multi-band antenna, and size of this antenna is higher than the previous three, and this will also give you omnidirectional radiation pattern in the range of 2.9 to 4.6 dBi will be the gain. Now, there are some more antenna. We are going back side. So again, these antennas are larger in dimension. The minimum dimension already I have shown you in the first case. This antenna, which was published in 2019, first one. This is Ebj structure, and this particular antenna is has a split ring resonator, and it shows very high front to back ratio, and its ECC, the envelope correlation coefficient, is coming less than 0.013, which is very, very important for any MIMO system. There are so many other type of antenna which are applicable, which has some prospect in 5G communication system, has been published in the literature for the last say 4 maximum 6 years, that I have compiled it here. Some meander line antenna also it has been given. Some defected ground plane, I have already told that in the defected ground plane antenna, we make different types of slots, stops, etc. in the ground plane, and that will affect the antenna gain, antenna bandwidth, etc. And this and compactness also. Compactness of the antenna will also come due to this defected ground plane. So with this and some metamaterial antenna has also been reported in 2018 for MIMO system. Now, this size of this antenna is quite big, which I am presenting in this particular site, and this is an array of 4x4, 8x8 antennas. Previously, what I have shown you, that those antennas are smaller in size, but number of MIMO antenna is also less. So all these antenna element, here antenna element is 8. Previously, if you see, the antenna element is less, 2 or now. These here again different complicated structures we have made, and some of the antennas here has been reported in 2020 and 21 also. Those antennas are specifically fabricated on clothes, jeans type of material. In that case, because these antennas are specifically designed for the IoT sensors, etc., medical applications, etc. For that, this particular type of antennas has been designed, which will also one of the services for the 5G communication system. So these are the different types of antennas people have already working with for 5G communications. What are the required parameters for the MIMO antenna design? And two very important parameters are the diversity parameters of the envelope correlation coefficient ECC, channel capacity loss, diversity gain, and total active reflection coefficient are the main parameters to be looked into to design a MIMO antenna system. Now, in terms of scattering parameters, these already in the literature, you'll find that ECC, the envelope correlation coefficient, the diversity gain, the total active reflection coefficient, and this CLL are given by these expressions. And these are the different references which I have consulted for this particular talk. Okay, so with this I conclude I hope I have concluded within the specified time limit.
Thank you, sir. Please accept a token of appreciation from CIR.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now I request Director, Institute of Nuclear Medicine and Allied Sciences, INMAS, Delhi, to address the participants. Dr. Anil K. Mishra received his PhD from Department of Chemistry, Banaras Hindu University in 1988. He was postdoctoral fellow for 3 years of University of Bourgogne, France at University of California, USA. He joined Institute of Nuclear Medicine and Allied Sciences (INMAS), Ministry of Defense, Delhi as senior scientist in 1997. Currently, he is a director at INMAS and he has guided 22 PhD students, published more than 270 research papers, and given talk in various countries. Dr. Mishra has received several awards and most prestigious one is DRDO Young Scientist by Prime Minister of India in 1999. So,
नमस्कार सर।
नमस्कार।
कैसे हैं?
बस बढ़िया सर। कैसे हैं सर? आप कैसे हैं?
बस ठीक। थैंक यू वेरी मच सर फॉर स्पेयरिंग योर वैल्यूबल टाइम फॉर अस।
Impossible supreme. So is visible my presentation there or not yet? Is my presentation visible or not?
yes, sir, it is visible.
Is visible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is visible. Very much visible.
Okay. So let me come back again because I have to go to the.
Yeah, it happens.
Ismail. So very good evening to all of you. I'm audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
You are.
Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. So Professor Mehra and Professor.
Hello. Anil, sir, I think your video is stopped. I think Anil sir have got some technical glitch in his net. So till then he join back. Just stay tuned with us. He'll be back in few minutes. Thank you.
Sorry, I think we lost somewhere. I'm audible still or not?
Yes, sir, you're audible now.
And my slide was visible because I had
Um,
lost it between somewhere, right?
yes, sir, but right now your slides are not visible.
Now it's visible, the slide. So whenever we talk about chemistry and life, we always puzzle between inorganic, organic, and physical chemistry, that which branch of chemistry has to be studied. So we always talk about that who is superior, who is not superior. So you talk about inorganic chemistry, and if I give you a statistics about that, all these coordination compound that we talk about are being used for the cardiac imaging. If you talk about any organic intermediate, they are being used for many receptor, either diagnosis of the different type of precursor, either different metabolites that comes out. When you talk about the physical chemistry, certainly we have to see that each molecule and each metabolites, they have a different relaxation property. So we have to study this one. To study this one, that what we have at our center is very high end system that we say cyclotron, which is housed in this building. We accelerate the different type of particle. You talk about proton and neutron, and then by accelerating this particle, we try to produce the different isotopes. Why I'm talking about this isotope is because we are talking about today nano or pico and picometer size that we were talking about, but here we talk about the subatomic angstrom that we have been working with, because that would like to have the very high energy in this system. So if you look at this,
Anil sir, I'm really sorry to disturb you in between, sir, but your slides are not visible to us.
it's not visible to
No,
you.
no, sir, it is not visible to us.
Oh, let me see once again.
Yes, sir.
Sir, now it is visible.
Yeah, fine. It's fine. It's fine. Visible.
Visible, sir, but please unmute yourself.
Now I'm audible.
Yes, sir. Now you're audible as well as your slides are visible. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry for these glitches.
No problem.
So what we have been doing is that in this building we have housed a cyclotron where we accelerate the particle like proton and deuteron to produce the isotope. And then what is very important for us is that we have got many reactor and many synchrotron in and around, including in Switzerland and Switzerland, that to have the very appropriate energy to hit the target by bombarding the beam of different energy. And most important for us is that whenever we react, either when we select a Z value, when we fire the proton beam, either deuteron, we have to have a very appropriate energy. So we should not contaminate with the carrier isotope, either some of the impurities, because then it will be very difficult for us to remove it, either to purify it. So what we try to do is always that to accelerate, either we accelerate a beam in such a way that we try to shunt it, either to see that what is the really threshold energy by looking at the Z value. And then after that, what we do is that once we produce this isotope, they have to have something to wrap up in a very nice way, because they are very toxic elements in the periodic table, but they are very beautiful because they have very excellent radio physical property for different application. But you cannot inject them directly because you have to wrap them, and not only to wrap them, you have to wrap in a extraordinary stability constant that you can talk about. They must be very stable. They must be extraordinarily stable under physiological condition. So we have to do a lot of radiochemistry in this one, and that part is very, very much required anywhere we talk about to develop something to see inside what is happening. So what we try to see is that we take a lead from the nature, that how nature is really designed all this crap to increase the density of the molecule, to wrap very strongly under physiological condition. At the same time, also we try to see that we should have some moiety where it can really sense, either recognize the site where it has to go, either to detect it in a fashion by sensing it. Either we have to put some of the functional group, either to put a poised, either any reactive group, which is very important to modify, either to do the bioconjugate chemistry. If we try to do this type of conjugation, then certainly we can introduce many biological molecules, and which is very appropriate for recognition of the many pathway that we think about. So this is the very important for us to design the molecule. And whenever we design the molecule, we try to see that where and how it is reaching at the site to see. You have heard about very nice successful story of 2-deoxyglucose that has been used for this coronavirus, because any exercise that we do, anything we are working about, anything that you want to measure in physiological condition, always you try to do the glucose metabolism. So if you look at this cartoon, that slide that I have displayed, it's not only one pathway that we talk about. Not only one pathway is applicable for all type of the system that we talk about. The one system that we talk about is this fluorodeoxyglucose that has been used very widely all over the world, and is made also in the country, in India and many places. This 2-deoxyglucose and fluorodeoxyglucose gives you the status of GLUT receptor, either the metabolism where it is taking place. And by any alteration, either any uptake, that we try to say that there are some problem, either something is going in a wrong direction. But if you look at the entire signaling pathway that we have been talking about here, is not only the GLUT, you have got the choline receptor, we have got the LAT receptor, we have got the SERNET, and different type of receptor that we have talked. So very proudly I can say that in the country at INMAS, in DRDO, we produce all these PET tracer to see the different type of tumor, either neurological disorder, based on either carbon 11, either fluorine 18, because we have got the expertise to produce this isotope and to develop this PET tracer for diagnostic application. So if you look at the portfolio of this tracer to visualize any type of perturbance, either disturbance at biochemical level, which is not only glucose dependent, maybe they are dependent on many other pathway. So you can see the images very beautifully is depicted in the slide, that even a small tumor can be detected very nicely with this molecule. So I would like to just share that couple of the story that how we do it and how people should really work in this area to develop, either to exploit the technology that we have been working. So if we talk about very basic chemistry that we were doing in our bachelor, either in intermediate level, either in master level, that we take all these methyl iodide, either anything, but we have to do in a very nice way that how we can really replace the carbon 12 with the carbon 11, and to make the reactive intermediates, like you can do the methyl lithium derivatives, you can make isocyanate, you can make nitrate derivative, you can make some aryl derivatives, you can make the aldehyde out of this, and is just to making these of the intermediate and precursor, is not to see that to do a kind of reaction that we want to do it. Either you want to do the cyclization, reduction, amination, either you want to make some imine derivative out of it. So in a very nice way, in a very systematic manner, without wasting the time, because of the half-life is only 20 minutes, you can really develop the molecule which can be used for the clinical application. I will share a couple of the example that before we are talking about 2-deoxyglucose, just look at this molecule. If somebody is suffering from a different type of brain tumor and is operated, and is not picked up in MRI, is not picked up in even in fluorodeoxyglucose, what is the solution? Is the solution that you have to develop a amino acid based compound, and you can see where the SUV, either you can see the contrast where you can see completely white region. It means that the tumor is very active, and that has to be treated, either that has to be resected, either that has to be removed. Otherwise, it will be a really problem for the human, either for the patient that who is suffering from the tumor. This is the one example that we talk about. The second example that I just took for the comparison, when you talk about fluorodeoxyglucose, you just look at my left hand side, the slide that we have got an image where we are not able to discriminate between the image that you have got in your right hand side, which is circle, that you can see that very nicely the tumor is active, and then you can visualize it. So this type of system is very essential to develop, very important to know that which molecule is going to work for which type of tumor, because it's not just to say that, okay, we did the scan, I am not able to see anything, but still patient and subject is suffering. So it's very important for us to design the molecule, like just see at that I was talking about amino acid. Even the lipid can be labeled very nicely, where you have the muscular atrophy, either you have a prostate cancer, is very nicely can be visualized by choline kind of system, that is which is very upregulated, and then you can label in a nice way to see it. So just after 20-minute injection, you are able to see entire body where tumors are located, and then you can see it. So this type of chemistry is very important to design the molecule, to visualize the site where person, either the patient is suffering from different type of disease. So keeping this in mind, that if you go back about any neurotransmitter that we talk about, and we talk about the amino acid, we talk about the precursor, that I took the tryptophan, all the chemical process, all the bioenzymatic pathway, and then finally we'll end up with the serotonin. It is only 1 to 2% in the body that we talk about, but it is so independently synthesized from the tryptophan, it's very difficult to target. If you look at the next slide, that when we look in the brain and we talk about the tryptophan, see the subtypes of receptor that we have got, and they are responsible of different type of CNS disorder. So if you have to target one of the receptor in this one and subtype, imagine that Herculean task has to be done. I mean, any type of radar you develop to distinguish between the 5-hydroxytryptophan 1 and then 1A, B, and D, and they enjoy the similar type of structure, similar type of with some of the lesion that is being altered either in cis position, either transposition, either some of the pharmacophore has been changed. So keeping this in view, that what we try to do is in silico is that we develop the models, and we try to develop the model because there are many receptors are not known, and they may be the homodimeric system, either monomeric system, either they enjoy both mono and dimeric, hetero and homo both together. So we try to develop this and do the modeling that which type of pharmacophore will be very essential to target this type of receptor. So we come to a conclusion by doing a lot of calculation by Ramachandran plot, and then by doing a sketch chart plot, that the G-score that we try to get, and if it is something very nice and very impressive from our point of view with the all bond energy and calculation that we do, and finally we come to conclusion that which type of molecule has to design. And you can just see that the chemistry is done very nicely. You can see the basal ganglion in preclinical scenario. And this is the way we try to see that you develop the molecule, you prove the concept, you go to the preclinical, and finally you go to the clinical level to really visualize from placebo, either by blocking it. Because sometimes what we do is that we do the experiment, we try to say that my compound is reaching there and I'm able to see that. But sometimes, many times it happens that it is non-specific in the nature. So we try to challenge it with something which is a natural product. Natural product, it means there is no alteration has taken place in the amino acid, either the molecule that we design. And by challenging that, if we see that we are able to block it, we are able to displace it, then it molecules become very specific in nature, and then we are trying to see the structure of the system that we want to see that. Not like this, that if you see that now old age is coming, many people are suffering from different type of neuropsychological disorder where neurons are not healthy. The neurons are not able to fire to produce the neurotransmitter. And one of them is that we talk about the vascular acetylcholine transporter, which is very important to design it. And if you just look at the both neurons that you can see the healthy and early Alzheimer's disease that we talk about. In this, what happens that some of the receptors are really either is not produced, either they are very unhealthy in the nature. So we try to substitute that, how we can produce, how we can enhance the affinity, how we can see it and treat it. So the one of the derivative that we talk about and we have developed, that if it is dependent on either a vascular system, either you talk about some of the nicotine receptor, either different type of muscarinic system that we talk about, either you talk about norepinephrine system. So these kind of the system can be seen very nicely by designing some of the compound that we generally talk about. This is the derivative of piperidine that you can see in the structure very nicely exploited. And that what we try to do is that we try to put the spacer, we try to put the pharmacophore where we can do the different type of electrophilic and the nucleophilic reaction to really attach one of the isotope without altering its biological property to visualize the disease pattern wherever it is. So if you look at this one, that we try to see many system, we try to produce many isotope, we try to fire with the different energy, we design many target that doesn't melt when we are hitting with the 16.8 MeV proton, either 8.4 deuteron beam. And then we produce by looking at the energy separation. And then we do a lot of permutation and combination, that which molecule is going to hold without altering its biological property. So we always try to see that whenever we do something, we always question that can it lead us to self-reliance? Either the thing is available in this country or not. If it is available, how much cost that we pay for that by getting from outside? Can we produce in this country or not? So by looking at this, you look at the structure in my left-hand side and the right-hand side. You see there's such a beautiful images that we get with scandium-44 compared to the gallium-68. It means even micrometastatic lesion you can visualize very nicely. And that's why what I try to talk about, that if we do some of the work which is really can get translated by our innovative imaging isotopes that can be produced in the country, then we can really give the education and training to the people who is working in this area. Of course, in biomedical application, and most important that we do not need to import it to have the nuclear waste in the country, and that will be the Make in India drive, because it can get translated to the human application for societal mission. End of the day, if whatever we contribute, it goes to the economical growth of the country, even a minimum, not at a very high, but if the health is very important in any scenario. Just look at one of the slides that I have thought about to looking at all of you that coming from engineering background, that you look at retina and then you go to the hippocampus. Engineer always look brain like electrical circuit. But if anything is broken anywhere in this circuit, how to find out that where neurotransmitters are getting leaked out? Where circuit has been broken is to see it in this hierarchical distribution and the process that we talk about when brain process something. So what we try to do is that we design the model, we train the monkey, and we try to ask them that they are able to visualize, and then we try to do the neuronal tracking and at that scenario, and we try to see that what type of molecules they fluctuate at that time. The most important that most of the people, they talk about electrophysiology, either enzyme and the sum of the macromolecule that I was talking, that is perturbed, destroyed. We'd like to see that when they are in a process that where the broken and when it was broken, and then what can be done on this, which will be responsible to design the molecule. So what we try to do is that we design the molecule, we shut down its magnetic property by saying that is a smart material, that we were talking about all this quantum dot and other materials that can be a smart, then can change the property if with binding with some of the pool, which is when it is sensing the one of the system that we talk about, the calcium, for example. If I shut down all the coordination sphere of this molecule, designing a coordination compound is not responsive to any of the material. But when the pulse comes out, it changes the conformation, and it allows us to interact with the sum of the water molecule, either something that gives a very strong signal. But it's not only the story that signal has to be to seen, but it should be very linear. Not only linear, it should be at a time scale, because when neurons fire, they fires in the milliseconds of a time scale. And then to catch all this property in the fraction of millisecond is very important for us. And then we try to see that by injecting that, we are able to see the map in the brain where neuronal circuit has been broken. So you can see very nice histopathology that I have shown to you. Not only this, that you today, the only one technology, if you look at this cat that I have it at my screen, that is having the two different eyes. It means that we always will dependent on only one technology, but one technology is not going to drive. We have to have the technology which is having the hybrid, hyphenated, and that gives you many different type of things that we can see it. Either we can see the very high specificity, also we can see the very high resolution. So for that, we try to see it and we develop the molecules. If you look the panel in MRI, in my left-hand side, you are not able to visualize there is any alteration. Look in the middle panel that you are able to see there is some activity in the black spot. But if you combine both together, you are able to see the yellow map where you can say that the tumors are very aggressive and very viable. So it's very essential and very good for the surgeon to really resect this portion and to remove it. And then for me, it becomes 1 + 1 = 3 to know that some new lesion, viable lesion, and then it really helps to the clinician to perform surgery in a very nice way. With this, I would like to conclude my talk, and thanks to all of you for inviting me, and to share, I'm sorry for that my slides and voice were, because of being at home, my computer is not that great. So thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, sir. Please accept our token of appreciation from Team CIR.
Thank you.
May I now request Dr. Swati Singh?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I'm very sorry it was really today perturbed.
No, it's okay. It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So now, may I now request Dr. Swati Singh, session chair, to extend word of thanks to all the speakers.
Yeah, thank you. So I would first like to thank Dr. Srivastava for giving such a nice talk on VLSI technology and its perspectives. And I was, as we all know, VLSI actually provides embedding several hundreds of thousands of transistors on a single silicon microchip. And we are swarmed with gadgets and devices around us which incorporates VLSI. And he also, one thing that I really appreciated in his talk is he emphasized about the involvement and the importance of academic research towards the growth in the industry scale technology. Mostly the research, academic research is slow and it is far away from anything that can be industrially applicable, but he still acknowledged it that slowly but gradually it contributes at the industry level too. Thank you very much, Dr. Srivastava. And then to Dr. Dey, I would like to say that, yeah, especially in current situations when the world is going in the COVID situation, when everything in the world is happening remotely and online, the importance of 5G technology is is required more than ever. And advances in such wireless communications will facilitate advances in business, education, and all the technologies around the globe. Thank you for such an illustrative and elaborative talk. And lastly, to Dr. Mishra, I would like to say it takes a lot of effort to be effortless, and your presentation was truly effortless. And also, I do not belong to your field. I do not know anything about biology, biomedical applications and anything, but still your talk was so basic and it was inclusive of all the interdisciplinary audiences, and I could still understand and get value out of it. So very, very thank you to you for being so effortless in your talk.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. With this, we come to an end of day one of our conference. Thank you, everyone, for being with us, and stay tuned with us for the day two of the conference. Yes, sir.
I just 1 minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My sincere thanks and regards to all the speakers of today's session. I'm thankful to Rajiv ji, Ashok ji, and Anil Mishra ji. All are very busy people, but they were with us for all the time, and that shows the importance of the conference. Your presence has been a boon for us, and it will continue. I request that your association with us, with CII, will continue. Thank you very much. I'm obliged.
Thank you very much for the invitation, sir.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Professor
everyone.
Mehra.